was among the first to appear. "Don't worry, guys. The fare will be there tomorrow, too." Mesdames jeered at the other passengers and led his team toward the exit with a triumphant swagger. They passed through the green customs line, he in the lead, his 5 colleagues in his wake. The automatic exit doors opened at once, and he was met with a row of a dozen greeters bearing signs, chauffeurs waiting for this or that passenger. Half of them looked like gangsters, but among them stood a breathtaking blonde in a red hotel uniform, holding up her sign. Mesdames at once approached her, sure that there was time for one last horsing around in front of the guys, just one more opportunity for tomfoolery, and that would be it. It was 10:40 a.m., Monday, April 16th. Chapter 2. Meanwhile, in Tel Aviv, Lieutenant Oriana Talmor was being rushed into the special meeting. It was the first time she had been asked to represent her unit at Camp Rabin, Tzah's headquarters in Hakilia. She looked around in wonder at the huge Israel Defense Forces compound, while the athletic military MP assigned as her escort walked briskly ahead. Lieutenant Talmor followed him through a labyrinth of brutalist concrete barracks and futurist glass towers, along roads bearing incongruous names like Iris Walk or Greenfields Lane toward their destination. It took 20 minutes and several security checks for them to reach the floor that houses the executive offices of Tzah's Chief of Intelligence. The lobby was already full of people. They spilled out into the corridor, and a heavy-set major, bearing a pile of folders, sat himself on the receptionist's desk, all the while ignoring her angry glares. Oriana found a seat by a window overlooking Tel Aviv. In front of her, a mass of low-rise buildings, occasionally dotted with green, spilled toward the pale Mediterranean coast. The sea was nowhere to be seen, bleached by the sun and eclipsed by residential towers and hotel blocks. Across the streets from the huge military compound, people were lining up at high-end restaurants, riding stylish electric bikes and exchanging greetings, confidential addresses, family news, and vegan recipes. Closer to the gates, a few women dressed in black called for the end of military occupation in the Palestinian territories, and were politely ignored by the American tourists and Israeli generals disappearing into the shopping mall ahead. By the parking lot, dozens of stray cats hovered around the dumpsters, waiting for the duty soldier to dump the military food waste. Although she was so high up, Oriana could sense the intensity of it all. Tel Aviv was celebrated now as the coolest city on earth. It was also the only place in Israel she had never really liked. She moved away from the window and lingered in front of the strange objects displayed on the walls. A cowboy hat, a gift from the then head of the CIA, a sword of pure silver, a present from Zimbabwe's head of security services, a vintage Toblerone poster from the head of Swiss counterintelligence. She tried to guess what gifts the Israeli chief of intelligence had given in return. At 12 p.m. precisely, the heavy wooden door opened and everyone filed into the conference room, where the air conditioning unit was on full blast. Oriana took a seat at the corner of the table, close to the door. A raucous erupted when representatives of intelligence gathering units moved to take the chairs at the head of the table, while the research department staff loudly exclaimed that seating was pre-assigned. In his early 20s, Oren was the ambitious adjutant to the chief of intelligence. Clearly under pressure, he reprimanded both sides indiscriminately. The representative from naval intelligence, the only other woman in the room, casually sat down next to the seat reserved for the chairman of the meeting, her white uniform lending her the appearance of a bride on her wedding day. Slipping in through a side door, the head of research, less than impressed, demanded she move aside. From their row of portraits on the walls, the intelligence chiefs of generations past gazed down at the scene, secure in their black and white stateliness. When everyone was finally seated, the adjutant opened with a roll call, a classroom ritual.